Welcome to another episode of Beyond Physical, where we talk about the mental, emotional, social, and at times spiritual benefits of exercise. We believe that exercise is more than movement, and this podcast is our attempt at sharing that message with the world by sharing our own as well as our guests' experiences and knowledge. If you enjoy it, we ask that you please spread the message by leaving a rating and review, or even better, by sharing with a friend.
Like my next goal, for instance, I'm sure we can talk about this again on the pod, but my next goal is a sub-3 marathon.
We are rolling, by the way.
Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Welcome, Rachel.
So my next goal is a sub-3 marathon. So I'm going to take a step back from ultra running or training for ultra running, and I'm going to attempt the sub-3 marathon hopefully in May next year at Cape Town.
Which one? Oh, which one?
The new Cape Town marathon that they moved it to May.
Spoiler alert, I did not know.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, so there's one in October and one in May. I'm doing both.
Two.
Because it's the same race, they've just moved it from October back to May. So in 2026, it's going to be in May because they're trying to align with the global major calendar.
That's huge. You know what's a big, sorry to take us in a different direction, but what's so big about that is the prep now is going to be totally different because Cape Town Marathon prep is typically in winter.
100%.
Which is very different to if you're prepping for a May event.
And arguably more difficult.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But it's going to be warmer, I think.
When you compete or when you do it. You think so?
But you'll be heat training, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Your build-up will be in the heat.
I would actually prefer to do that like a May, like compete in May and prep before that.
Yeah.
Because I think the temperature kind of does this into the event.
Yes, that is true.
Whereas the other one, the temperature does
It's
that.
starting to go
it's like
up.
you train in the cold and then there's because it cooks sometimes at Cape Town Marathon.
But it does. But the conflict for me is depending on where they put, if they do Two Oceans next year, where they're going to put it. Because obviously Two Oceans is normally in April. So now if you're going 56 Ks in April into hopefully racing a marathon, that's like not a really good time. That's not a good timeline. I'm hoping that if they do it next year, they're going to move it to the end of the year, which they are making noises about. So that would help me a lot.
They moved to Oceans.
Moving to Oceans.
Okay.
Because I don't know, do you know about the whole Two Oceans scandal from last year?
Well, I know that it was just poorly,
this year.
like really poorly run.
Yeah, and they they had a fight essentially with Cape Town, what do you call it? Like Cape Town City Council,
Yes.
like whoever governs this thing, because they had too many people at their race. So they said there was going to be 20,000. There was actually 25,000. That's illegal. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, the Two Oceans in general, like from my exposure to running, the way that the expos and all the admin around it have felt for me have really been lagging behind
100%.
other events.
I mean, my race pack had a flyer and a roll-on deodorant. Do they still do roll-ons?
I still do roll-ons.
Okay, this guy still, but you're old though, right?
I'm not that old. I'm literally 3 years older than you. I'm 27, for anyone who doesn't know.
Ancient.
But yeah, Two Oceans is kind of, it feels like it's dying, which is a bit sad after last year. But if they have a good, you know what?
I have a lot of personal attachment to that race, so I refuse to buy into this propaganda.
Okay.
Two Oceans is not dying.
You need to get involved, and they should actually have you as a brand partner.
They should.
Because
that's a good note. We should post this.
They need to breathe some life into that event. I mean, it's hugely important for Cape Town's active community because obviously a lot of people
I think
still
it also brings a lot of tourism.
It does, yeah.
Like there's a lot of international participants in that race, and I think they could do with more young people competing in ultra distances. So it would be good. Like for Comrades this year, I was an ambassador.
How does your relationship with them work? They basically just want you to promote a whole bunch of stuff for them and
who's
free
this
entry,
now?
They fly you there, Comrades.
Yeah, so the Comrades agreement, it was an unpaid agreement. Basically, I just had to pitch up at a few of the boot camps, obviously post certain things, and yeah, free entrance and that type of stuff. But no, they did not fly me and they did not accommodate me, unfortunately.
You?
No. I agreed. I wouldn't normally agree to a partnership on those terms. The only reason I did agree is because it's Comrades.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's iconic. It's good for my brand.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Okay, so sub 3 hour marathon is now your focus. Of course, rehabbing your ITB is number one.
Yeah, so easing back in, making sure the knee is fine, making sure that I don't overdo it, easing back in. Obviously, there's still a lot of time until May next year, so there's no need to rush it. And I do have I have got 3 marathons in between now and when I plan to run a sub 3. I'll maybe race October Cape Town Marathon. I'll maybe race that one. Like I'll try for maybe a 3:15 or 3:10 or something.
Okay.
and then really like try and give the sub 3 a bash in May.
So you said Adam helps you with your strength stuff. Does he do your programming as well?
No, it's mostly me. I literally just ask him questions about speed sessions.
Okay.
So how fast should I go? Are we doing 2 minutes on, 1 minute off? Is it back-to-back 10Ks? Like whatever.
And why don't you want to invest in a coach?
I find that I am better and more disciplined
Than any coach in the world.
No. I'm better and more disciplined when I am self-governed.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So when someone is telling me what to do, it's a personality flaw. It makes me not want to do it. So if I have like a schedule that I have to stick to, and I have to listen to what they're telling me to do, and I have to do exactly what they're telling me to do, I know for a fact that I'm actually going to backtrack.
Sure.
I'm not gonna move forward. So it's much better for me to just have someone that I can just consult when I do have a question, and the rest of it I can just be self-governed. And also because I'm traveling around a lot, like I can't always do sessions on certain days. Sometimes I have to shuffle things around like all the time. Like when I was in Boston, I couldn't do long runs. Like I just didn't have time. So then I had to shuffle. I would be like, okay, we're gonna do this, this, and this, and then when I get back, then I'll do this. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, sub 3. I hear you completely. I think you have to know yourself to get the most out of whatever it is you're doing. I'm also pretty shit with authority, but I don't know if you did team sports or not, but I'm quite comfortable with a coach dynamic. That feels a bit different to like being told what to do.
Yeah.
But I'd be really interested to see how you get along with the sub 3. I have no doubt that you'll do it. I found it really difficult to achieve, and I don't know.
What was your mileage, if you don't mind, leading up?
Building up into the sub 3.
Like what was the average mileage?
Average, I don't know, but my biggest week was probably like 110, maybe 120.
Okay. So interestingly, I've taken a much different approach this year to marathon training so basically I did Cape Town Marathon last year, but I arrived at the start line hobbling from the ITB. So I still ran the race, but after that I was out for 12 weeks. So like it really messed up my knee badly. And then I only started running again 1st of Jan, and I'm not joking, I couldn't run 5Ks.
Shit.
So like my fitness was just basically gone. So like a lot of like this build up has been very different like to these ultras, because number one, I knew that I couldn't do the same amount of mileage I had done the year before. I didn't have the same base I had the year before. And I knew that I had to be very, very careful about the kind of sessions that I was doing and where I was running, because uphills and downhills aren't great. So I had to I did absolutely zero hill training this entire year.
Okay.
Nothing.
And now are you more? I suppose you've got your ITB flare up again.
Yeah, well, it has flared a little bit now, but I do think that's just because Comrades is a very long way. I think to expect it not to would be unrealistic. So I'm not overly concerned about it. I think I can get it back to the right place probably within a week or two. But what was the question?
The question was, you actually asked the question. So you asked me my mileage.
Oh yes, and then, okay. So I was saying my mileage has been. I did like from start of year to Comrades, I did 500 kilometers less than the last year.
Okay.
And I personally believe that my performance at Comrades was better this year because it was 4 kilometers longer. So I ran basically the same time, but it was 4 kilometers longer, which is a big switch up. It's like 24 minutes.
Yes.
At Comrades pace.
What was your average mileage going into Comrades?
Honestly, I was maxing out at about 70 Ks.
Oh, wow.
So I think my peak week was 90, but most weeks was 60 or 70, which is very low for Comrades training. But I feel the quality of the sessions was better because I was still doing speed sessions.
Yes.
I was like, when I was doing a long run, I was doing a proper long run, like marathon on the prom, like no stopping, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like really locked in and really getting that cardiovascular benefit.
How do you do your nutrition for those long runs?
So for that particular one, I put a packet full of bottles and stuff in the bush. Okay. And then every time I came past, grab and go.
So you don't have someone supporting you, you just self.
It depends on the run. Like we did a 50 kilometer, myself and 2 friends, and then we had someone that came and gave us bottles at 2 locations during that run. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I've also found interesting with mileage and stuff is for marathon training, my mileage seems to generally be higher than for ultra marathon training. But that's just because I'm doing more speed work, so I'm covering more ground.
And there's warmed up and warmed down and like all these other things,
And also for ultras, because my ultras are not on the road, they're mainly on the trails, I'm getting a lot of vert. and like I can do a 2.5 hour run and that's 10 Ks because it's like it's like 800
straight
meters, 900 meters of vert.
And do you find that, like when you were training for Cape Town Marathon for your sub 3, did you find that trail running was helping you? Did you include trail running as part of your training? No.
No, I went specifically road. But I do find what I did pick up was that my body receives ultra trail training much better than road. I think it's because I'm a heavier runner. So the like monotony of smacking the road repetitively is quite impactful on my joints.
I think that's the same for everyone though. Like I'm sure it's worse if you're heavier. But I mean, I think like that's the reason I have the issues that I have, especially when you're running on something like the prom.
Yes.
It is actually harder than tarmac. So if you're running on the prom, it's like, as you say, repetitive movement and it's into a very hard surface with not a lot of give.
Yeah, and trail, you walk a lot.
Yeah, exactly. You give your knees breaks, you give your ankles breaks. And also I think it just helps with overall like mobility conditioning. So like all of the stuff that's like the knees, the hips, probably very good for you actually.
Yeah, I feel in my joints a lot better doing trail, but I feel far kind of I get more DOMs, like stiffness in my muscles. But I think that's just because you are
Someone taught me that term recently actually, the DOMs. So.
Who taught you about that?
I don't.
Okay. Speaking about DOMs, so you're actually a member of Horizon Gym.
I am actually.
But I've never seen you here in the flesh other than now.
I've been here before. Like three times, I think.
3 times? I thought it was twice.
No, I think it's 3.
Once to sort out your membership.
Yes.
Another to shoot content. Oh,
yes.
No, but you mistaken. You came at one point and then...
That is true.
We were close.
So I did come.
So is that 4?
That's actually 4. So that's 4 times. Okay. And then I came one time for a class.
Oh, you came for a class?
I've been to
Which class did you come to?
It was the running for runners. Yeah, Run Strong, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the coach? Gideon?
I can't recall her name now, but the lady was sitting here.
Demi.
Demi.
Oh, was it?
The one that was sitting here.
Maria.
Maria, yeah.
Okay, cool.
She had taken over the class, so I don't think it was her class.
Okay.
Yeah.
What time of the morning was it?
It was really early. You guys do really early classes. I think it was like 5:30. Yeah, I think it was like 5:30.
But why did you come to such an early one?
This is insane. I think I wanted to go for a run afterwards, so I was like, let me come to do this and then go for a run.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
So you've been very vocal about your what's the word? I suppose I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but your anti-strength training views.
Anti-strength training.
Yes, I know some of it is a piss take, but I also know that it's not a primary focus of your training.
No, it's definitely not.
Let's talk a little bit about that. How come you aren't so into the strength training? When do you see yourself getting more into it?
So I think when I first started running, which would have been about 2.5 years ago, I came into it not knowing anything about running. On a serious note, like I don't know about shoes. I don't know, like I didn't even know you're supposed to be strength training. Like I don't know anything. Obviously, like as I've got more and more into the scene, you learn all these things and you hear all these things. So I think just because in my build up to my first comrades, I literally didn't do anything, like any cross training whatsoever at all. So I think I was also just in the habit of not doing it. But now I am aware of the benefits and I'm aware that I need to do it because of my predisposition to have ITB and overpronation and everything. That said, I do still feel, I don't know, like I just struggle to feel comfortable in a gym. Like I think just because it's an environment that's not familiar to me, and I think because I feel so comfortable on the road and I feel so comfortable running and running clubs and all of that, I think I just gravitate towards there. So like when I have to choose, what am I going to do today? What kind of workout? I'm going to gravitate towards running.
Yes, because there's that added barrier of not feeling fully comfortable. So it's much easier to kind of revert to what you...
Because already getting yourself to work out already has its own, like, you know, its own mental fight. Never mind now getting yourself to work out in an environment you don't feel comfortable in, you know?
I think with that, because I also had that way when I started my lifting journey when I was 13, I think. I also had that like aversion to going because I just didn't feel comfortable and I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to look silly and the typical teenage thoughts, but also human thoughts. And then I ended up going with an older guy, like, oh, he's a year older than me, but just with one of the other boys. Went with him a handful of times. And he was kind of like my training wheels. And then when I felt comfortable, then I started to go without him. And I think for a lot of people who do feel like, you know, they're just getting into it and they don't feel fully comfortable, the friend thing is a good move.
Yeah, like having someone that you gym with.
100%,
Yeah.
because that is then a piece of comfort.
Yes.
Because you know that person already.
Yes.
And it kind of takes the edge off that intimidation.
Yes.
So that's usually
The problem is I'm also a solo operator. Like there's just like a lot of barriers for me to get through.
That's fair. But I see you going on walks with friends.
Yeah, no, that's
and
true.
Like,
that is true. No, but that's different.
what is the name of your friend again who comes here?
Jess.
Oh, Jess.
Yeah.
You should come with Jess.
I should come with Jess.
But she doesn't come to classes, and I think that would be the best thing for you.
Yeah, I think that is something that you guys do really well here is like you give the option of classes, which means if you are someone like me who doesn't know what's going on and doesn't know like what I'm supposed to be doing or like what even half these exercises are, at least you can come to the class and they can just show you how to do it and you can just copy what they're telling you to do. So I think that is actually very helpful. And I should come to more of those.
You also do have a free PT consultation because when you sign up, you get that.
Oh yeah. No, I've used that already.
With who? Chad. You did use that, I remember.
Yeah. Yes, I think it was Chad.
Did he have very short hair? Very muscular dude, friendly man.
Yeah, very friendly.
Softly spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah, his persona is very
It's like opposite of how he looks. Yeah. Very nice look, actually.
It was so funny the first time I met Chad. I was like, shit, this guy's like, he looks quite scary, and then he's just like the sweetest person.
No, he's
ever.
like very nice.
Okay, I mean that's totally understandable. Also, the thing is, if you're going to classes, as much as that is, I think, a good option if you're trying to learn how to strength train, it can sometimes be a little bit intimidating if you go into a class with like a bunch of people that already know each other. Maybe. I don't know if that's a thing for you. Like you seem pretty out there.
I'm quite an outgoing person. I would say I'm quite socially comfortable. But again, it's just the actual type of exercise that I'm like, I just don't feel super comfortable with it. Like, I don't know if am I activating the right things? Like, do you know what? It's like even all of that kind of stuff. It's like, am I even doing this exercise right? So I think it's like now, obviously I'm doing the stuff at home and I've got into a routine. I'm also a routine person. So like if I can get into a routine of doing something, then I tend to just stick with that. So I just need to get into a routine of coming here instead of doing it at home.
Yeah, and also the Run Strong is literally made for you. Like those classes are for people who want to improve their strength and conditioning for running.
Yeah. I see you also have mobility classes, which probably also benefit me.
I really need to
I can hardly cross my legs right now.
Same. I sometimes go to like 5 minutes of those.
Yeah.
But that's Maria and Demi's big project is trying to rope me into mobility classes.
Ultra running and mobility is like not friends because you just stiffen up everywhere.
Not at all.
Become very tight.
It's also for me mobility is incredibly boring. So,
and it feels like you're not really achieving anything. It's
Yeah.
like afterwards, you're like, this wasn't a workout. This was just me wasting time for 30 minutes.
The way I've made it more enjoyable is by doing weighted mobility. Because then it feels like a bit more
you feel like you're actually
engaging.
Achieving something.
So, okay, but in terms of strength training, you kind of know that's I saw this really cool thing on someone's story. They said eating my broccoli so I can enjoy my dessert.
Yes.
I suppose you know that it's the broccoli to enjoy.
100%. So I feel like I'm a lot better than I was before. Like at least I am still doing things. Like for instance, before I run, like every single time before I run since the beginning of the year, I always activate. So I always do banded work, like 10 minutes of bands before I even go for a run, just to fire everything up, activate everything, warm everything up. So that when I get out there, I'm less likely to put the pressure in the wrong places. You know what I'm saying? So everything.
That's really good.
Yeah. So that I think is one of the reasons that I was able to recover from the ITB or manage the ITB much better than other people have been able to, just because I've been very committed to doing the right things before I run.
Okay. And so at the moment, are you not running at all?
No, so I'm running. Like for instance, I'm gonna try and race a 5K on Saturday. I say try. I've been trying to break sub 20 for like a million years, but obviously when you're training for ultras, like fast 5Ks don't really go hand in hand with that. So anyway, I'm interested to see what time I get because now I've kind of taken a few days off. So I'll be interested to my legs should be quite fresh. So we'll see what happens there.
A few days off usually does a lot for your performance.
Yeah, well, especially when, like for me, I'm so used to running like 6 days a week. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, I think I'm going to feel quite fresh. So I'll be interested to see how it goes. I would love to break a sub 20, but we'll see.
I'm sure you'll definitely get that, especially going into your
It'll fall at some point with the sub 3 build. But if it can fall now, even better.
So you're going to try go sub 3 next year?
Next year, May. So there's like a long build up.
Okay.
Because I know I know for a fact that I would not be able to do that by October.
Sure.
I think by October I could come close if I was to go all out, but I don't think I'd be able to do it. So I'd rather maybe in October, as I say, do 3:15 and then continue like off the back of that into a sub 3, hopefully.
Also, I generally think it's more sustainable to do longer, more phased builds.
Yes.
So now you're focused on getting your ITB right.
Yes.
Then you can do some base work. Maybe we can tempt you into doing some strength
100%.
work, lay those foundations.
Which I think will help with speed, because I feel like I struggle to build speed. I think like it doesn't make sense that I can run the pace that I can run for the distance that I can run it and then not break a sub 20. Like that doesn't actually make sense.
Yes.
And the reason I think is because of a lack of strength.
Sure.
So there's a lack of like fire in my muscles. Like there's not enough bounce, you know?
Yes.
So I think that strength would change that.
You know what I would be so fascinated to see is like, what is Kipchoge's strength protocol?
I would be
like?
interested to see that as well.
I think that'd be fascinating.
I think it would be low weights and like more Pilates type stuff.
You think so?
I think so.
I disagree, because I feel like you would need to be able to generate significant force to move it. What is he doing? 250 or like 247 or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that's, you have to be quite powerful to move like that. And I suppose you can get powerful from Pilates. But surely he's doing some squats.
I think it would probably be a combination. So there would be like the Pilates type movement where it's like long movements or like holding certain movements for a long period of time. And then there would also obviously be, as you say, like squats and RDLs and those kind of things.
And how did you actually end up getting into running? And how did that relationship kind of bloom? Because you went from no running and then 2.5 years in, you've done 2 comrades, 2 oceans, Cape Town Marathon. Like you've really gone deep.
I actually worked it out. I've done 12 marathons.
That's nuts.
And
that's 6 a year.
If you count comrades as 2 marathons, then I've done 14.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and this year I'm going to do 7 marathons, 8 marathons.
What are this? Oh, but that is splitting comrades.
Including training runs, including training marathons.
Okay.
If you include training
that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's actually too much. But yeah, so how I got into running. So I come from a very active background. We grew up, I'm from a family of 10 kids. I'm the oldest of 10, and we grew up in Malawi. So it was a very like outdoorsy lifestyle. I was very into triathlons, like Olympic distance triathlons when I was a teenager. So I've always like kind of enjoyed being active and been doing things like running and cycling.
Sports, yeah.
Yeah. But then I went to New Zealand to matriculate. And while I was there, I was doing athletics and hockey and football and stuff. But like once you get out of school, so once I got out of school, I wasn't really doing anything. Like I was busy focusing on like getting a job and working and studying and whatever. And I kind of fell off the exercise bandwagon completely. I was doing the things young people do, like drinking and having a good time, right? And then I moved to South Africa. And I still wasn't really doing anything. I was doing like Pilates and like stuff like that.
Why did you move to South Africa?
I moved to South Africa because I was on a visa there and I was studying theology and it wasn't for me. But
in New Zealand?
In New Zealand.
Sure.
But while I was studying, I was also working at an insurance company doing sales and marketing, and that I did like. So I was like, I think I should rather go into this, but the only place that I have a passport for is South Africa. So let me move somewhere that at least I don't have to worry about that, the visa side of things. So I moved to Joburg. My brother was matriculating there at the time, and I've always been close with him. So I thought, let me move to somewhere he is. In hindsight, terrible decision. No one wants to live in Joburg, and I lived there for 5 years. But anyway, so I moved to Joburg and started working there, and then went off and did my own thing. And then only really got into running. I was bored. That's literally why I got into running. I was like, I need a hobby. I was watching too much.
Bored in Joburg?
I was bored in Joburg.
Okay.
I was like I felt like my life was going out and drinking and watching Netflix. And I was like, I need like an actual hobby. So I started walking, and then I felt like walking was taking too long. So then I started like adding some jogging into the walk to like hurry it up, because I was like, I'm going to walk 5Ks a day. That was like the idea I had in my head. And I was like, this is taking long. It takes like almost an hour to walk 5Ks. So I was like, okay, let me add some jogging. And then I added jogging. And then it became like that I was running the whole 5Ks. And then my dad is a comrades runner. He's done 7. And he said to me, why don't you do one with me one day? And so then I kind of had that in my head that I was like at some point going to do comrades. So I trained for my first half marathon, and then I did 2 Oceans half. And then after that, I was like, I think I should do a marathon now. And then I did a marathon. And then I was like, you know what? I'm ready. And the marathon was in November. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready to do ultra training. So then I trained and I did 2 Oceans full and then went on to do Comrade.
How long after you started running did you do your first marathon?
I want to say under a year.
Okay.
Yeah. I did like probably just under a year. Or maybe, like 8, 9, 10 months.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
It is pretty quick. But I mean, it wasn't a super fast marathon. And also my nutritioning was shocking back then.
Really?
I ran that marathon with 2 PVM bars.
What?
That was my marathon
And
nutrition.
nothing else?
And water, the sachets.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think...
Because I didn't, that's what I'm saying. Like I genuinely didn't know anything about how to do this thing properly when I first started running. Like everything that I know now has been learned along the way.
That's crazy that what you do now and how much of, I suppose like your online persona is very running centric.
Well, my entire life revolves around running now.
Yeah.
Like my career is running.
Yeah, true.
Which is wild.
Yeah, and it was just so organic.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm too impatient to do a 5K walk, I'm going to jog.
Literally.
You are like...
No, and I only started making content about running February last year. So like I only really got into like the whole content side of things. And like even when I started making content, I still knew basically nothing about running. I had like 1 pair of shoes. There was no such thing as a shoe rotation in my world. And yeah, I don't know. It's like it's been cool actually because I feel like the audience has learned with me. Like as I'm learning things, as I'm figuring out nutrition, as I'm partnering with like a nutrition brand, like I'm figuring it out as they're watching it be figured out. And it's like, it's like a give and take. And
growing your Instagram presence, I mean, your following is just shy of 30,000 now, it's 27 something, right? Was that quite intentional or was that also pretty organic? Like, were you just documenting or you're like, I want to grow my Instagram? When I moved to Joburg, I worked at a management consultancy doing their marketing and social media. I was earning absolutely nothing, as you do when you work in that kind of role. And I was looking at it and I was like, you know what? If I went out and I did social media specifically, social media management, and I could sell it as a service and I could sell it to multiple people and earn a lot more money. So I took the risk, I left, and I did that for about 4 years. When you left, had you already picked up 1 or 2 clients, or did you leave and you were just immediately? I had one client. Okay. So I knew that I could survive. Okay. But that went well, and I did enjoy doing that for people, and I actually still do that for some people. But the whole time I was always like, I would like to do this for myself. Like ultimately, what I want to do is I want to build my own brand. So eventually, I decided because it's quite a thing to put yourself in front of a camera. It's like you have to be willing to lean into people not enjoying it or telling you that you're cringe or telling you that they don't like your content or they don't like you or they don't like what you're saying. So it was kind of like always something I wanted to do, but I was like scared to do it essentially. And then eventually I just decided to do it. And I decided to have the attitude of always leaning into the hate. Okay. So like you're like my entire social media and like the way that I do it has always been humor based. Like I'm not trying to educate anyone. It's always like the humorous side of things, leaning into the hate, making fun of people, they make fun of me. It's like a back and forth. So it's been intentional in the sense that obviously like I am trying to grow it. But I also feel like I try and keep it as authentic as possible. So it's very much just like, this is what's going on in my life. Like I don't really make a lot of other type of content. It's just like, this is what's happening. We're doing Comrades now we're doing this, like, you know what I'm saying? It does feel very authentic. Like you can also, I feel like it is pretty easy to pick up when someone is pretending. Yeah. And although, I mean, this is the first time we're actually having an in-person conversation. It just seemed pretty real. Like, I think though what broke that barrier down for me was the first piece of content of yours I watched. You said, I'm doing this for attention and clout. And I was like, I trust that person. Yeah. Like she's literally addressed like. It's actually funny because I've always felt, and this is like just me as a personal thing, like I've always felt like people take things way too seriously. Like it's not that serious. And especially when you're operating at our level, as much as we were talking about earlier, where you're trying to be your best, you're not an elite. Like, and to treat the situation as if you are, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like, don't take it so seriously. Like lean into the enjoyment of the thing, you know? And so I feel like I do that quite well. And I think people like that I do that quite well.
So yeah, the attention and clout thing. I mean, at the end of the day, like, no one's running a marathon for fun. It's not fun. It's not, but you're doing it for attention. It really isn't fun. Yeah. So as I say, I've always like leaned into the humor side of things. I started off doing I did a video, like there was kind of two videos that really started me off with the growth. And that was that video, the attention and clout video. And then I did a couple of commentaries on like what your shoe says about you or what your running watch says about you. Yeah.
But I also thought, what was it now? Something that you also do really well is like you've made one or two pieces of content that use like a trending motivational soundtrack.
Yeah.
But you're still being
But
funny
I'm still
and weird
taking
and
the
being
piss.
like,
Yeah.
this is so hard. How do I do this?
Yeah.
Like I think that's a really cool format of content where it is actually kind of still motivational.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
But it's more real.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more real.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I'm actually pretty inspired by this video.
I can also wake up and say, seize the day. Like,
yeah.
you know, today's the day to be your best self. It's like, but today is also, I'm not being my best self today. Today I'm being my worst self.
Yeah. There is also a huge amount of like,
so oversaturated.
Like motivation porn.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the sort of
I think within
athletics,
the running, it's like
So that.
But I mean, there's a space for everything, and they must do it. So it's good for them.
I mean, we
but
also try and do that a bit. Is like, you know, take the edge off.
Yes.
Make it more approachable.
Yeah.
Make it more normal.
Yeah,
not
make
like
it more banter. Because that's how people actually interact with each other.
Yeah.
Like, you're not walking up to someone and saying, seize the day. Like, like, you're not doing that. I don't know. I feel, and also for me, I get agitated by people that are educating with absolutely no background in the thing. And I feel like a lot of influencers and content creators do that just because they feel like that's the kind of content that's going to do well. But at the end of the day, you're actually potentially hurting people because you're telling them how to do things, but you don't know what you're talking about. So I try and stay as much as I can. And if I do post anything that's educational, like, you'll always see that I'm interjecting it with the fact that, like, at the end of the day, I'm also learning with you. Do you know what I'm saying?
And it's your personal experience.
Yes, my personal experience. This is what I do, but like, do what you must kind of thing.
I'm also very careful with that.
Yeah.
I've kind of tried to, and I mean, I'm obviously not anywhere near as diligent with content as you, but whenever I do sort of share my training stuff, which is quite a big part of my Instagram, I just kind of say, it's like a diary entry almost. Yeah. Where it's like, you can clearly see this is just a personal reflection on what I'm doing, what's working, what's not working for me.
100%.
You've got to be in tune with that for yourself. You can't just kind of, I don't know, take on what Seb or Rachel does and think it's going to work.
Yeah, and like something different is going to work for everyone. Like the way I train will be very different to how someone else trains.
So speaking of training, anyone who would want to get into running, ironic because we've just said like don't be
motivational,
but like what
don't run.
That's the answer. Just don't get into running. That's like not a good idea at all.
Sign up to Horizon Gym now.
Sign up to Horizon Gym. Don't run. But yeah, like if someone's wanting to get into running, they've watched the piece of content, like, oh, that looks super cool. Where would you say is a good place to start? If you were starting, if you were like at the beginning of
I would start again.
Yeah.
I think I would join a running club.
Really?
If I was to start again. Because I think that could have been fun. I think I'm the type of person that wants to be good at something before I engage in it in a social way. So I was like, okay, I first got to like be a decent runner and then join a running club. But there's so many running clubs that have that are like of the slower variety. So you can really, and I feel like that will keep you motivated, right? Because like every week you're going to this running club or you're going twice a week or whatever. But I think the first thing would be not to rush it. Like when you start running, don't expect too much. Just like let it unfold naturally, because it does. But if you're like trying to achieve something from the beginning and you're like, oh, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like just let it happen as it happens and don't try and do too much too soon.
That's incredibly ironic coming from you.
It is incredibly ironic coming from it, but I didn't do too much too soon.
In your defense as well, I can't really say much because my journey was similar. I did a 100-day running challenge. To start running. And I think 3 months after that, I ran my first marathon as well. So.
And I think people on social media as well, like people like me, I'm running ultra marathons. That's an unrealistic goal if you're just starting running. Like, but you're looking at this and you're going, oh, 90 Ks, that's a very long way. I could never do that. Like, no, you could never do that right now. But that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should just be to get active, and then you can see from there where you would like to go. You know, would you like to get into ultra running? Okay, like, you know, or do you just enjoy a social 5K once a week? That's also okay.
Yeah, follow your curiosity. See what's like actually interesting to you.
Exactly.
And so have you now run a Comrades with your dad yet?
No, so it's actually quite a sad story. So my dad, unfortunately, had a blockage in one of his arteries in his calf, which has now rendered him unable to run, and unless he gets an operation to fix it. So he's kind of right now debating whether or not he's going to do that. So I ended up doing that Comrades on my own. Yeah.
If you guys still have it as a dream, you could always, I mean, he might not be into it, but you could like
he won't be into that.
Or you could do one of the like
but yeah, we could.
Adapted things.
No, I still really hope that one day we can do it together. I'd like to pace him to, he's always wanted to do a bronze at Comrades, so I'd like to pace him.
What is a bronze?
A bronze would be sub 11 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did sub 9 hours or something, didn't you?
Yeah.
Is that a silver?
No, so that's a bull rowan. So silver would be sub 7.5, which is on the to-do list.
Okay.
But that's a much faster. So that's running at 5 minutes a K for 90Ks, which is obviously quite a challenge. Whereas bull rowan is like 550s. So
okay.
It's not that serious. Still, it's still a long way, but just not as serious.
Is Bull Rowan some sort of iconic Comrades?
Bill, yeah, I think he won the race a couple of times, but I think he did like a lot of them, and he used to run about 9 hours for like most of the like ones that he did. So then they made that the Bull Rowan, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I might be talking cap right now.
Okay.
I think that's the story.
And what is to close off, what's your kind of ultimate running bucket list item?
My ultimate running bucket list item. I think I would like to do a 100-miler at some point.
Okay.
I would like to have that under the belt. Yeah. But I think so a 100-miler, just completing a 100-miler, a silver at Comrades, and a sub 3 marathon. I'll be very happy with that.
The trifecta.
The trifecta.
That's a cool. That's like a really nice set of things that you've done.
Yeah.
Those are all pretty gnarly experiences.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing the sub 3 mostly just to prove that I can do it. Because everyone's like, oh, okay, you can run an ultra, but like your marathon time. I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me show you then. Let me show you then.
People in the comments say that.
People, yeah, I mean, you get a lot of backlash. Like people always like tuning nonsense, always.
There was some post you made where it was so obvious or so clear that you were taking the piss, and people were like arguing.
That's always amazing to me.
I was like,
it's always amazing to me how like people
so
can't
funny.
like read into the sarcasm.
I think you were holding signs of some kind.
Yes.
And
classic
you said, oh, you know what it was? It was you said running a 5K time or running a PR around a track.
Oh yes.
People were so touched.
How's that? How touched were people?
People were so touched.
But you know what? Then the post does amazingly well.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that post got, I think, almost 500,000. That hit almost 500,000 people,
Really?
and mostly because I included that, because I knew that would piss people off if I said that.
Funny. I showed that to my girlfriend. I was like, look how funny this is. People are so dumb. Like,
I also attacked your favorite brand there, which I think also encouraged shares.
I'm not going to, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad, but that's definitely not my favorite brand.
I will, though, if you want me to.
You're very welcome to. I did see that. That was also, I think, why I was like going through the post.
Yeah.
They've been catching a lot of backlash recently.
Well, they're building a community on the premise of exclusivity.
Yeah, that is quite funny.
What can you expect?
But also they're catching a lot of backlash because of copycat stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they've ever had an original thought.
That's
my favorite running shorts from Nike are the new shorts they just released.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild. I suppose there aren't many actually original things.
There isn't it, yeah.
But in the running community, it's seeming to become more like clear that it's...
Yeah. I think also just the way that they frame it. Like, we've been working so hard at these new designs, and you're like, I don't think that's a new design. I think you stole that from somewhere.
Shame. I mean, kudos to them. They've built a pretty big
I have
thing.
respect for them in the sense that they have built a successful brand in South Africa, which is now going overseas, which is a very hard thing to achieve. And for that, I have respect for them. But as for the sheep... Stop being sheep.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
So, but you're with Puma, right?
No, I'm not officially contracted to any apparel brands. and I would like to keep it that way. So I prefer to work with brands as we go, like on like singular basis, like depending on what we're doing. So like with Prima, we went to Boston for the release of the Fast R, which is their new carbon shoe, and that's very cool. But then it also opens me up to now be able to partner with other brands, like do shoe reviews for Adidas or get apparel from like smaller activewear brands and help them promote themselves. So I just prefer to keep it like this for now. Actually, it opens up more opportunities for me not to be partnered with a specific brand. If that makes sense.
Because the cost of your being exclusive with a brand is all the potential other partnerships you might want to have.
So there's like certain things that I am exclusive with, my nutrition I'm exclusive with Biogen, just because I like their products, I like their company, I like their values, and it made sense for me to just stick with one. In that sense, because like, I mean, when you're running, you don't really want to be switching up like with lots of different nutrition anyway, right? So that made sense for me.
Do they do electrolytes?
They do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Carbogen and Cytogen and Race Mix and all sorts of things.
They also have an anti-cramp pill thing.
They do, yeah.
I think it's called what is it called?
Crampies. Oh, is it?
Crampies is another thing. It might be crampies, or
No,
it
it's
might be like
called-
no cramp or something.
Or Crampus
It's got like a blue. It's got like a blue.
Yeah,
stripe
but it comes
thing.
in pill. It comes in pill.
Yeah.
form. Yeah.
So they have everything. That
But
you need.
they've also recently released like a gel cramp.
Okay.
That's called Cramp Salt, I believe.
Okay.
A gel Cramp Salt, or Cramp Care, I think it's called. And that is very good. I use that for comrades, and that like really helps me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Instagram and on the prom.
On the prom or at Jared's?
Or at Jared's.
For a, what is it that you guys raise money for? It's for dogs? Something
Yeah,
really
so
nice.
we do a once a month charity run on a Thursday, last Thursday of the month. Not first Thursday, don't worry. And yeah, we raise money for different causes. So we do like 3-month stints for different causes. So right now we're raising money for Ladles of Love, which is like feeding the homeless. Very important stuff, which you should probably attend, and it's happening next week.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did you say your Instagram handle?
Rachel and Beaton, but my friends call me Big Dog.
But my friends call me Big Dog. Okay. Are there any underscores?
Yeah, it's _ Rachel and Beaton _
Okay.
But if you search Rachel, it should come up.
Okay.
Not to pat myself on the back or anything.
Thank you so much for your time, Big Dog.
Thank you so much.
And enjoy the rehabbing. Please come and see us at Horizon Gym.
Yes. Should I come for my fifth attendance
Yes,
at your Horizon Gym?
Gotta come start racking up those attendances.
Yes. After Eisner, for sure.
Yeah, and you can try and rope Adam in.
Or Edwin.
Although
Yeah.
he probably has his own strength training things that he does.
Yeah, he's always on his own mission.
But thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate the time. And yeah, we are now finished.
Thank you so much for listening to the show, guys. We love answering specific questions. So if there's anything you want to know, leave a comment or reach out to us directly at HorizonZA on Instagram or email us at movement@horizongym.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Seb Prentice, and this is Beyond Physical.